Hi everyone, it's Shaz Jones, and I've had a question from a family who is thinking about selling their house. And if they do sell the house, what should they do next? So I've just been developing some options for them, and I thought it might be good for you guys to listen in as well if you ever find yourself in the same situation or you find someone else in that situation who you might be able to help.
Hi. Okay, technology is trying to beat me today, but I'm determined to do this no matter how old school it has to be. So, developing options. The first option, and it's really important to keep this one in mind, is to stay. Even if your house is already on the market, don't forget that it's always an option to stay. And realistically, that may at any one time be the best option for you. So a lot of people completely discount that as an option because they get all excited, they get the house all done up, they put on the market, and emotionally they've already left the house. They're already, maybe found another house and they just want to go. And then after having the house on the market and doing home opens every Saturday morning, all the cleaning for months on end, they start thinking, well, maybe just staying is an option. So don't forget that might be an option. Number two option is to sell the house and buy another house. And this is what most people have in mind when they put their house on the market, unless they're in debt or something like that, and they know they can't buy, or there's a marriage breakdown, a relationship breakdown, where they just want to split the assets. Most of them have in mind to sell the house and to buy another house. Third option is to sell and to rent. So particularly if you're moving to another city with work, for example, and you don't know how you're going to feel about that other place, or you have to do it really quickly, so you haven't got the time to look at all of the houses that are available, you might decide you want to sell and rent for a while or for forever. Number four is really, it's part of the stay option in that you don't sell your house, but it's rent out your house and rent another house. So unlike the stay option, you give your house to another family to use or some young people to use, and you go and find another house, and hopefully you'll be paying less in rent than they are paying you, and you'll be able to make a bit of money on it as well. Because remember, you'll still have the ownership costs of your current house. The next one is to sell and to go into care, particularly if it's an elderly owner. Then you might want to look at over 55s villages, retirement villages, maybe some sustainable self-care, some low care, some high care, secure care, all of those aged care options that are open to you. So they're your basic kind of options that it's worth thinking about. But none of those things are just financial options for you, and they're not just real estate options for you. They have other things attached to them. So, for example, particularly with this last one, health is one of the factors that you should look at. So if you're in the current house, there's lots of stairs, for example, and the current owner has some mobility and strength issues, some stamina issues, then they will obviously get an improvement by not having to have the stairs, so selling will help them. And if they go into care as well, that will help improve their health as well. So there's going to be some health benefits and some health drawbacks for most of these options. It's important to consider the health ones. This is a biggie as well, and this comes under a few of them. But family, I might just take the options off now that we're dealing with these. So family is a big consideration as well. So family is about security. A lot of people like the fact that in their own home, they don't have anyone able to kick them out. They can do whatever they like. They can hang pictures on the wall. They can have a pet. They have the security of knowing that they're in control of the decisions about their housing. And for a lot of people, that's a big thing. In this case, the people that I'm helping, there's 3 generations living in the one house. And so it has a huge impact on, generations of the family, not just the owners. Also, there's a thing now called impatient or inheritance impatience, where the next generation who think they're entitled to an inheritance will want the owners of the house to sell the house so that they can get their hands on cash quicker. So they might favour options like selling and renting because they have a vested interest in it. Now, they might be not even conscious that that's a bias that they have. And so it's important for you to openly discuss these things and be aware of it. So inheritance is one of the issues, and unity is another issue. For example, if they sold the house and the owners, or at least one of the owners, went into care, it would mean that not any other members would be able to partake in that decision. So if they went into a retirement village, only people over 55 can live in those places. So it would mean the next generation and the generation after, the kids and grandkids, would have to find alternative accommodation. So if you're looking at 2 houses instead of 1 house, that can have a huge financial impact, as well as a big impact on the family dynamics. Completely different living with one another, and the support that you're able to give to each other in that context, as opposed to living in a completely separate accommodation and having to manage 2 houses and drive between them and all of those other issues as well. So that's a big thing. Possibly the one that is a little bit overlooked is reality. And yet it's one of the most important ones, because if you are looking at your options thinking, oh, I'll just do that or I'll just do that, and the real estate market doesn't support it as a realistic option at this time, then that's going to severely limit your actual options. And this is why things that weren't an option 6 months ago, like, no, we're not going to stay, we're definitely going to move, suddenly become an option again 6 months later, because you've got a better understanding of what is a realistic option and what isn't. So some of the things that you can do to improve your understanding of the realistic options is get multiple, at least a second opinion, but a second and a third if you can, opinion of what the market value of your house is. There's valuers who you can get a market value from, and they charge about $500 or $600 usually, but there's also real estate agents who will give you an appraisal, which is not a market value, so you normally need to discount that a bit. Just get an idea of what can you realistically sell the house for. Now, some of that is based on supply and demand, so hopefully you can see that. If you have lots and lots of buyers in the market, then the prices will normally rise. But if you have lots and lots of sellers in the market, then the prices will normally go down. The only place that is actually a market is here, when buyers and sellers agree on the price that they're going to sell at. Everything else is unrealistic. So you might say, I want to sell my house for $1 million. And if you look at that supply line, lots of people will want to sell their house at $1 million. All of the sellers, the maximum amount of sellers, will say, yes, I want to get the maximum price for my house. But the number of buyers who actually want to buy at $1 million is really, really low. Actually, that's here. So if the demand at $1 million is close to 0, then you're not going, that big gap means that it's a gap in reality. It's not ever going to happen. What you have to do as a seller is bring your house down in price until it meets the number of buyers that are available to you. And at any one time, that might only be a handful of people who want your house in your suburb with your bedrooms and bathrooms and your style at any one time. So you have to have a realistic expectation of how many buyers there are, because it's all about supply and demand in the market. Now, all of these things, these issues and impacts have on your options, they also have financial things attached to them. So if you decide to stay, for example, you'll have things like council rates and water rates and the cost of maintenance and insurance that you won't have with other options. Now, if you're not paying any rent and you've totally paid off your mortgage, then it's a lot cheaper to just pay those things and stay where you are than it is to go and rent usually. But those financial decisions will have to all be calculated. Also, if you're going to go into aged care, and most people will at some stage, at least one partner will have to go into some kind of care at some stage, then that will have an impact on your tax, on your cost of care, on the cash flow that you have at the time, and any capital gain that you might make on the house. So the amount of capital that you have left available for your care can impact on the amount that you have to pay day to day as well. So all of those things have big financial impacts. And that's probably the last thing that you should consider, because other things like family and health and reality will have a bigger impact. And so it's best to narrow down what your family wants, what is good for your health, what is a realistic option, and then cost those particular options. That makes it simpler for everyone. So I hope that's helped you today if you're in that situation, and I hope it's helped you help someone else if you're not in that situation. If you've got any questions, then please contact me, leave a comment, and I'll get back to you. Just to note this, just a disclaimer really, that this isn't obviously taking into account your specific circumstances, so it's not advice. I'm not saying you should take option 1 or option 5. I'm just saying these are some of the questions that you can consider to make your own decision for you. So it's just a bit of general education and help. And I hope it's helped you. Okay, thanks for watching today. Bye.